Welcome to the Newton County Schools Dual Enrollment Webinar. I am your host, Mr. Stephen Woodall, College and Career Specialist for the Newton County School System. Just to give you a little insight on tonight's agenda, I will start the webinar by providing some general information and insights on dual enrollment programs. And after that, I will turn the webinar over to my amazing guest. We have presenters from GSU Perimeter College, as well as Georgia Piedmont Technical College, and they're going to tell you all of the ins and outs of their programs and how their programs can benefit you. But first, I'm going to start by just speaking about dual enrollment in general. So what is dual enrollment? Of course, if you are tuned into this webinar, then you certainly know that dual enrollment is a program provided through the Georgia Department of Education at local and private high schools that allow students to take college classes while dually enrolled in high school. Some of the benefits are, of course, they get a head start on college credit. They save money because for all parents tuned in, classes are free. If it's free, it's certainly for me. That's what I hear a lot of parents say. So the credits are easily transferable. It will save you a time towards completing your college degree, as our institutions have articulation agreements with colleges, both public and private, throughout the state of Georgia and throughout the country. And one of the best things is that you get a real college experience. It provides you opportunity to get a head start on the demands, time management, as well as the amazing learning opportunities that are associated with going to college. Now, this sounds amazing, and I know all of you want to take advantage of those opportunities, but let's think about some things. These are some things that students should consider. One, you need to be independent and self-driven. Highly recommend, not required, but students should have roughly an 85 or above in their current academic courses. If you log on into Infinite Campus, you can check your numeric GPA. That's usually a good indicator that a student will be successful in dual enrollment courses. We have to be mindful that some colleges have high school or college prerequisites depending upon the course that a student would like to take. Students can select approved college of choice for a dual enrollment program. I'll share some more information on those college options as well. Dual enrollment courses are offered both online as well as on the campus, but the classes that are offered on campus, of course, require your own transportation. And another thing to be mindful of, that if you're taking a class online, your school may or may not allow you to stay at the school if you're taking an online class. Just something to consider. And of course, you must meet the requirements to continue in dual enrollment for the next semester upon completion of your first one. Now, dual enrollment requirements, of course, it varies from college to college depending on the school that you're going to apply to. Our presenters tonight will speak specifically to the requirements for their particular institution, but this is something that you need to be aware of. The student is solely responsible for applying to the college of their choice. Students are also responsible for registering for the required entrance exam if they are required. And of course, this is what we recommend, strongly recommend, that a student is accepted to their college of choice and forward the decision letter to their counselor at least by April 25th. This would make the process a lot smoother for all of us involved. Of course, college courses are offered and taken during the semester system, which doesn't necessarily always align with the high school schedule, but we have great partners here locally that you'll hear from that help us facilitate these experiences. So students will take, of course, a set of courses in the fall and a new set in the spring. You must meet the dual enrollment requirements to continue for the next semester. And your course registration requires, of course, consultation and approval with your school counselor. And there is a cap. The program has evolved. It used to be where students could take as many courses as they wish, but now there's a funding cap where students are able to take 30 credit hours total over the course of their either sophomore, junior, or senior year. Now, Not a lot of sophomores participate in dual enrollment, but it is possible if you are enrolling in an approved CTAE course that's listed on the course directory for TCSG. We'll ask our representative to speak about what those courses are a little bit later. Now, for juniors and seniors, eligible students can take dual enrollment courses that are listed in the dual enrollment course directory at any eligible post-secondary institution through the university system or the technical college system, or even at a local private college. One thing to note, a student may not receive funding to repeat or retake a course. A student is no longer eligible to continue to receive program funding after withdrawing from from one course at least 2 times. So these are some things that you need to be mindful of when it comes to dual enrollment funding. Also, again, I think I mentioned this in a previous slide, but that funding cap is 30 semester hours, which essentially is about 10 3-credit hour classes. But Georgia students that are enrolled in high school in a CTAE course in an eligible career grant or certificate or diploma program at a TCSG institution that we have that you'll hear from tonight may utilize Hope Grant and Career Grant prior to reaching that funding cap, which allows for them to take just a few more courses. So here is a listing of all the participating dual enrollment institutions in the state of Georgia, both public, technical, and private. The full list can be found on gafutures.org, but I will pause my conversation and circle back to you a little bit later to discuss any questions that you may have. So I want to yield the floor now to our friends from GSU Newton to talk to you about the wonderful opportunities for dual enrollment at our local public institution.
Thank you so much, Dr. Whittle. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and please let me know that you can see it. And then let's go ahead and get started. Perfect. Good evening, everyone in Newton County. My name is Haley Wollner, and I am a senior admissions counselor at Georgia State University. I'm so excited to talk with you guys today about dual enrollment and the opportunities that we have specifically at our GSU Newton campus, as well as taking online coursework with us. I also have Miss Andrea Hendricks with me as well, and she's also going to introduce herself in a second. We're both going to share a little bit about our campuses. And Ms. Hendricks, if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. So I serve as a senior campus administrator, also senior director of online initiatives, associate professor of math, a lot of roles, but I've been at Perimeter College for 30 plus years and been at the Newton campus for the past 3 years and absolutely love it. So we would love for you to come and take classes with us. But and then my contact, that's my phone number. You can call me directly or email me directly if you have any questions about what goes on the campus. And also my admin, Jill Heft, you can call and contact her. She's a person that knows everything and can get anything done. So we welcome your calls and emails. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hendricks. And I'm an admissions counselor 3, so essentially the best way usually to reach me is email as I'm visiting the high schools. So I will be seeing you guys as well during the spring. I'm planning on coming to all of your schools. One thing to note is I work specifically on the admission side. So I'm going to be helping you guys as you're applying for dual enrollment. And I also work with students who are applying for their first year of college as well. So just giving you those populations. So if you have any questions about the admissions process, seeing what materials you still need to turn in with us. We're going to go over test score requirements and things of that nature a little bit later. So I can also help you with those things. You should be able to see on the right there, the dual enrollment office. So they are going to assist you as far as getting registered for classes, course materials, and anything beyond the admissions process. So I'm happy to send you that information as well if you have any further questions down the line. But I like to just kind of distinguish the difference between the two. So I'm going to help you as you're working your way into GSU. And once you've been accepted, basically our dual enrollment office is going to take over from there as far as helping you register for classes and know moving forward as a GSU student what you need to do next. So I am focused specifically on Newton campus, and Ms. Hendricks has a few events she wants to share with you as well that take place on our Newton campus specifically. But I like to share this slide for you guys to know that we do have multiple campuses and to as well as to see our sizes. So you can see compared from Perimeter and Atlanta, Perimeter does tend to be a lot more intimate. So you're getting that more individualized attention with your professors. And we are spread out between these campuses. I also like to mention here that Perimeter does host our online campuses. So for whatever reason you do require only online, you would want to apply to Perimeter as well, as that is where our online campuses are hosted. Ms. Hendricks, would you like to speak specifically about Newton campus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted you to be aware that as a student on Newton campus, you have access to a broad array of resources and activities that we plan. So our campus hosts an 8,800 square foot library that students can access. We offer free tutoring through our Learning and Tutoring Center that can be done in person or online as well. We also have a campus cafe to meet your food needs while you happen to be on campus. And we have a STEM lab where you can do 3D printing and actually get help with some of those STEM classes. We have a science grotto, which gives students help with any of their lab classes and their biology and other types of science classes. And then lastly, I will say that we are very active, even though we might be a very small campus. We have a lot of student organizations that students can join. So we have things like Rotaract and Circle K, which are kind of the college age clubs for Rotary and Kiwanis. And then we also have a Baptist College ministry. We have Earth Club. We have a very active SGA, and there's some other, a business club as well. So dual enrollment students can partake in those activities. And then lastly, I'll say that we have events on campus to show our I guess, involvement in the community and kind of connections to the workforce. So we've hosted a Cinema Connect where we've had Cinelise Studios come out and show all of the great things about the film industry. We just hosted on campus an Ignite Your Pathway Passion where we had representatives from the hospital, Takeda, and different companies that really address kind of our top pathways at the college. And we host a Daffodil Festival every year. This year's theme was on AI and all of the impact of that. So we try to get a lot of involvement, and students, of course, in the community are invited to attend those activities as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. So we love to share with you guys about the local community here at our Newton campus. Just so you know, I'm going to get into it in a little bit, but you're college students as dual enrollment students. So we want to make sure you're aware of the opportunities that are on campus to take advantage of. And you're also a GSU student as part of the Perimeter campus as well. So it is a different location under GSU, but you are still a GSU student as well. All right. And so Mr. Woodall talked a little bit about this, why you want to look at dual enrollment, but I just wanted to emphasize this as well. It's that you're really getting a test run at college and getting into that environment early. So you're taking college courses while you're in high school. So getting to test the waters, as it were, to earn that college credit as well. And as he mentioned, it is covered through the Georgia Student Finance Commission up to 30 eligible credit hours. So that's a full year. So typically students who've received up to 30 credit hours, that would be considered a student's first year of college if they complete those 30 credit hours. So you have the potential of coming in as a sophomore student. So having that full year already done, which is an amazing opportunity. We also have a lot of courses for you to choose from. I'm gonna bring that up a little bit later. We have a QR code for the directory. There's gonna be more information about that as well through Georgia Futures, just so you can know if there's specific coursework that you're looking for. We do have a long list of courses that students can take. So trying to figure out what works best for you. And then as well, we have the option for you to continue with us at Perimeter Newton and earn your associate's degree, and then seamlessly transition over to our Atlanta campus if you would like to. So we have a whole system in place to help you guys start college while you're in high school and go ahead and finish up with us once you have that head start. So saving that time and money on graduation for sure. And then speaking of the course directory, the QR codes there do have more information in regards to what's offered. So I'm going to leave this up for a second for you to have a moment if you would like to scan that to see what's accessible. And again, Mr. Woodall said that we would go ahead and share this recording. So if you need to come back later, no problem at all. Please feel free to contact me or Ms. Hendricks if you need this information for the course directory as well. So give it a couple more seconds if anyone's using their phone to scan.
And Haley, I was going to point out one thing on that previous slide. The bottom QR code actually takes you directly to the course schedules at Perimeter College. And so if the student is taking fall courses, those probably haven't been released yet. That typically is released around March. And so you may not see what's available to take right now for the fall, but you can at least get an idea of what's historically been offered at our campus.
Thank you for that. Yes, registration for summer and fall is going to open up actually late March. I know the catalog typically comes out first. So just as a heads up, as she mentioned, registration for fall isn't going to be open, usually starting right around the beginning of April for students. So please feel free to start planning. And then for requirements, I like to let students know we need a minimum of a 3.0. And if you fall between a 3.0 and a 3.2, we would require test scores, which you can see below. So for the SAT, we're looking for that. For Perimeter College specifically, we're looking for that 530 English or reading, and then the 530 math. For the ACT, we're looking for that 20 English and a 21 math. And then if you're looking at the pre-SAT, we're looking for that 530 reading or writing, and then the 530 math. We also accept AccuPlacer at Perimeter College. So if you do need to take that, we have a testing center on campus. If you need to sign up with them in order to take the AccuPlacer, please feel free. We have the scores there for you as well, just so you can see for the 237 reading, a 4 through an 8 for the writing section, and a 258 on that quantitative reasoning, algebra, and stats section of AccuPlacer. If you have further questions, again, please don't hesitate to ask us during this section or to reach out to us about those scores. One thing I like to emphasize is that we do super score. So if you've taken them more than once, we're going to take your highest score. So for example, I'm not a huge fan of math. So let's say that I hit my English section the first time I took the SAT. And so I had like a 5, let's say I had a 540 on that English section. And then on the math, I got a 500. When I take it my second time, then I can really just focus on that math section because I've already hit that English requirement. So what that super score means, again, is that if you take the same test more than once, we're going to take your highest score from each of those sections. So we do encourage you guys, definitely keep that in mind as you're planning your testing. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions around that. But all 4 of these options are what you can use for dual enrollment at GSU. So please know that we love to have these conversations if you're not sure where your GPA falls as well. Going on the next slide, we actually do calculate GPA based on your core curriculum. I get this question all the time because the core curriculum might look different than your high school GPA, as a heads up. So we're only looking at your English classes, your math classes, your science courses, your social science courses. So things like American government, US history, world history, and then foreign language. The one thing I like to point out about foreign language, we can accept ASL, and then it does need to be in the same language. So please don't take 1 year of Spanish and 1 year of French. I have seen it on the transcript a few times. So please know it does need to be consistent. So you'd want to do Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, or French 1 and French 2. So you want to be consistent. We also do have computer science courses that we can accept for this language as well. Those are specific. So if you're looking at that route, please feel free to email me and I can send you that list so you can look at the courses for computer science that we can accept in place of foreign language. But please know that sometimes your transcripts, GPA is going to be slightly different than how we calculate it, just because I get that question all the time. And again, if you're not sure what your GPA is showing as just using your core classes, that's what I'm here for. So shoot me an email and I can let you know where you're at, whether or not you would need to submit test scores. All right, so talking about expenses, obviously the biggest portion of that tuition is covered by the Georgia Students Finance Commission, which is amazing again. And you don't have to worry about books. They're provided on loan from our bookstore. The only thing I do like to let you guys know, and Ms. Hendricks actually mentioned it, are things like meals at our campus cafe. So if you want to grab lunch while you're there, if you need to get a snack, our bookstore also has a lot of snacks on campus. And then there are specific courses such as labs or foreign languages that do have extra fees associated with them. So I like to make you guys aware of that. Mr. Whittle also mentioned earlier in his presentation that transportation is a consideration. So if you're going to be on campus with us, that's one thing to keep in mind as well. The good thing about parking is that it's free at Perimeter. I always say that's definitely a huge perk. And please let us know if you have questions about approved coursework. Our dual enrollment office in Georgia Futures will work with you on that to make sure you know what courses you can be taking. But I like to make sure students know they need to be going off that list because tuition could be charged if the course is not approved. So that's something to keep in mind as well. All right.
Yeah, so I'm going to address this really from my experience with teaching and helping students through the years. I would like to point out that really one notable accomplishment for Georgia State is that we've been able to close the achievement gap for students from all backgrounds. So what that means is that students from any type of background achieve or perform at the same level. So we are really proud about that. So I really think that it's in GSU's identity is to help students succeed. Probably when I was in college, it used to be the mindset, oh, look around you, half of the people that's in this room aren't going to be here by the end of the semester. And I can tell you for certain that is no longer the message that we portray to students. We really are here to help students be successful and to help them advance their educational journeys and pathways that they want to achieve. So, but all that to say is that the responsibility still is on the student to perform. And so we do have some expectations for our students. And I think having the opportunity as a dual enrollment student to really get the idea of what it means to be a college student early is really a phenomenal opportunity. So being ready and responsible is probably the primary thing that you need to do because I think the participation in dual enrollment really highlights the student's ability to handle responsibility and maturity, right? To show that you're able to manage the college level expectations while also managing all the things that you have going on in your high school. It really is an opportunity to shine academically and personally, and just to set yourself apart from your peers. And I think the other thing it does is requires some focus and determination. You have to be prepared to tackle the challenge of being organized and really utilizing the resources. I've heard a lot of students think that, oh, it's a bad sign if I have to go to the tutor, right? But actually, no, you need to think of those as coaches, people who are there to actually help you improve and be your best self. So taking advantage of those resources is really a strategic way to put yourself ahead and not kind of being embarrassed by that at all. And I think the other thing I would tell my students is you can't prepare in the middle, right? You have to come in with some mindset about being prepared for class and being organized ahead of time, because it's really hard to catch up with that if you don't have that plan in place. And the other thing is, I really should have mentioned this with readiness and responsibility, is attending classes. There's a lot of research that shows that the #1 predictor for student success is attendance. And so I think sometimes the mindset is, oh, it's college, I can do what I want to do. And that's actually not the case. We do have to take attendance and report attendance. And students who don't show up for classes actually get reported as a no-show and are withdrawn from their classes. And of course, that has a lot of implications for you as taking this class as dual credit for high school. So we don't want you to be in that situation at all. We really want you to think about this and take it seriously. And of course, you're the serious students who are thinking about dual enrollment, so that shouldn't be an issue for you. And then, of course, staying connected to your counselor because they have all the information about courses that are going to satisfy what you need to graduate. So you want to make sure you are talking with them and making sure that what you're taking at the college is really counting in the double way for you. And knowing the course dates. I think Mr. Woodall mentioned this earlier, our calendars do not align. So you're going to take a spring break 1 week in Newton County. Yeah, okay. And then that's not going to be the same spring break week for Georgia State. So you have to really know those dates and not expect your teacher to excuse you just because you might have spring break in your high school, or taking spring break in another time. So just be aware of that. And then think long term, I think is the other thing. Like your classes and your performance in these dual enrollment classes actually impact, of course, your high school GPA, your HOPE eligibility, and future college admission. So you really want to give it your best shot. And we really have kind of talked about the benefits of dual enrollment, so I won't spend a whole lot of time here. But I think I'll highlight really what to me is the best part of Newton campus. Newton campus has small classes, so our class size is around 25 students, and we have teaching professionals. So if you were going to like our Atlanta campus or other larger universities in your first year classes, you probably would have a graduate teaching assistant who's teaching the courses instead of the full-fledged professor. And so I think that's really helpful at our college. You actually get access to professors who have experience and are really passionate about teaching and helping you be successful. And I would think the other thing too is that we meet you where you are. If you need some extra help, we have classes to help you with that, but we also have honors level classes as well. So we really do have the whole spectrum at our campus. And for parents, since you're on this call, I would say, it's hard sometimes to let your student do what they need to do. You don't want to see them fail. And we don't want them to fail either. But I think this is a place for being in college because we do treat them as a true college student. Our professors don't know who's dual enrollment and who isn't. And so they treat every student as the same. And so this is where you really have to teach your student about student agency, that they have to take some ownership and responsibility for what they're doing. And so we really want you to be their cheerleader and motivate and guide them through this process. But ultimately, they're going to have to be the one to communicate with their instructor. They're going to have to be the one to do the assignments and such and respond to the emails and things like that. So it's really important for you to be kind of on the side, supporting and guiding them, and also helping them manage their time, because we know that dual enrollment students are typically high performing students, so they like to be involved in a lot of things in their high school, and we don't want them to be burned out, right, and overcommit so that they can't be successful in college. So just be there to be that motivator. And the other thing I would say is you don't have direct access to grades, and I hear this a lot of times. I'm the one paying for it, or even though Georgia Futures might be paying for it, but we can't communicate. Haley's going to talk about this in a moment. There's some guidelines that prevent us from talking to parents with about the students' grades and performance. And so it really is, maybe you need to have an open conversation with your student about that. But that's something that is really kind of a fine line when you're in college and the access that you have to things like that. So just help your student. We want them to succeed, and I know you do too. So we're just trying to put them in the right framework to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. And as she mentioned, we do have the Federal Education Right to Privacy Act. So that's actually specifically for students who are 18 years of age or older, or attend the post-secondary institution. So that's why it applies to dual enrollment students as well. So that's what she was referencing when she said professors are not able to disclose grades with parents. So the FERPA, it's a form that students can sign if they want to waive their right to be able to share information with a third party, which in that case could be the parents. So just as a heads up, it does work a little bit differently as getting information as far as grades go. So having that conversation is important, and please feel free, if you have questions about that, to reach out to us as well, because we have a form specifically for different offices on campus as well. So it can be based around what you're needing access to and your student providing that information and everything. So you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Okay, so just giving you some reminders. Number one, you want to meet with your high school counselor. Now, I know Mr. Woodall had the deadline I saw of April 25th. So one thing I wanted to emphasize here, for us, it takes about 3 weeks to give you a decision on your application. So I want you to go ahead and make sure to treat the deadline as early April to get that application in so that we can give you that decision. That also includes you want to make sure you're getting your transcript into us, your official high school transcript, and your test scores. So if you do need to submit test scores, please, please, please make sure you get those into us. I would say for test scores even before April, just because they can take a while, depending on how you're sending them to us. So please just make sure you're leaving that amount of time to make sure everything's been received. And then one thing that I like to point out for my dual enrollment students, when you're applying to GSU, it is free for dual enrollment, so you should never be charged an application fee. And when you're applying, you want to make sure you select non-degree seeking. That is one thing you want to choose when applying to GSU, because you're not going to have a major as a dual enrollment student, and you're not earning a degree at that time, if that makes sense. So that's why you want to choose non-degree seeking. And when you do, you should have the option to choose dual enrollment when it asks you your student type. Now, if you accidentally choose freshman, it happens. I get a lot of students who accidentally apply as freshmen, and they do see that $20 fee come up for GSU Perimeter Newton. Please let me know when we can get you updated to the correct type if you're meaning to apply for dual enrollment. And just to add for my students who enroll with GSU, if you do enroll with GSU for dual enrollment, you do need to apply again as an incoming first year, just as a heads up. So it is a separate application if you intend to enroll with us after high school. So if you have questions about that, please feel free to ask as well. Once you've applied with us, you also want to make sure you do that application through Georgia Futures that we talked about, and that will take care of your funding. And then as well, like I said, you want to make sure you have that final paperwork in. But because he mentioned that you want to have your decision by April 25th, that's why I want to give you the deadline a little bit earlier. Our deadline for fall is May 1st for dual enrollment, but I want to set it a little bit earlier at April 1st, just so we can make sure that you have that decision back in time to meet your school's internal deadlines, so that you have everything in place and you can begin that registration process sooner. So like I mentioned, here are our deadlines. I'm going to say, because we have that April 25th suggested deadline to have everything done, you want to treat it even as April 1st for that fall term. So that way we have everything in, and we have all your documents to get you that decision back in a timely manner. All right, and then lastly, this is just a checkbox to walk you through everything, applying for funding. And then after you've been accepted, this is the next steps you're going to take. We have a website for next steps, so please don't stress about this. So it's good to have this information, but you're going to be emailed this information as well as a student. And then finally, we would love for you to come out. I'm going to leave this up for a couple of seconds if you want to scan to come tour with us. We do have virtual options as well as scheduling a visit on campus. We would love for you and your parents to come and see where you'll be studying, and so we can give you more information. And thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Just want to let everyone know that we will have a little bit of time for a Q&A upon the completion of our presentation. So if you want to use the Q&A feature to get a question in the pipeline, please feel free to go ahead and do that. But now I am going to yield the floor to Ms. Lauren Lamole from Georgia Piedmont Technical College to share all the amazing opportunities they have at their institution.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate getting to be here tonight with y'all. My name is Lauren Lamole. I am the Director of High School Initiatives for Georgia Piedmont Technical College. As you will see here, we are a leading institution for career-focused and academic education, and we are in Newton, Rockdale, and DeKalb counties. We work closely with the high schools. We've actually been working a lot with Newton this year. And we're really excited to roll some things out. But we are working to expand access for all to college and career programs. And we offer pathways for technical certificates, diplomas, and associate's degrees in various fields. So why choose us? We actually, we have the flexible learning. So you will see that we offer in-person, hybrid, and online courses for over 150 programs. We are affordable and accessible, of course. A lot of similarities between us and GSU you'll see, and I have a shorter presentation really because they lay that groundwork for us. And then you can actually choose career focused training or the core academics. And we have both of those things at our school. So just to kind of give you what that looks like, the academic courses, what that would look like for us is really what you were looking at with GSU. And so you earn your college and high school credits at the same time by selecting from a number of our courses, which I will flash up on the screen in just a moment. But as an example, if you were going to take English 1101, which is composition and rhetoric, one semester of that is worth a full year at your high school. And the same goes with our math class. So this one specifically, math 1111, is 1 year high school math. And actually, many of our other academic courses also satisfy requirements like that. And then we also have the technical career certificates. So you could earn one or more technical college certificates in any of our high demand technical careers. And as you can see here, when I show you all of these types of certificates that we have on another screen, there's a lot of them. So, but one certificate has a certain amount of credits that you complete to finish that certificate, and we also have those as options. So those core classes that I was talking about, these are some examples. These are not all of our classes, but they're some of our most popular classes taken by high school students. As you can see, we have a bunch of English, math, history, psychology. We have some sciences as well. All of these are guaranteed to transfer to any of the state colleges in Georgia and all of the public colleges in Georgia. And they transfer to most of the other colleges as well. Of course, there are going to be some private colleges that do not take courses that are that you take for also high school credit. We recommend contacting any institution that you plan to transfer to just to make sure that they transfer. And then the examples of our technical pathways, as you can see, we have a ton of technical pathways. Some of these you could complete completely online. Some of them are in person in our Newton campus. So if you are interested in something that is on this list, please do not hesitate to reach out. I have my contact information and our coordinator's contact information at the end of this presentation. I'm just leaving this up for a moment in case anybody is taking any screenshots. You can also find this information on our website. But these are a lot of the different pathways that we have at GBTC. We actually have the same way that you would get funded and up to 30 credit hours as GSU does. Every student has to complete a Georgia Futures funding application. And if you scan that QR code, that is actually what that is. Funding has to be, again, pre-approved by a high school counselor. If you withdraw from 2 courses, you do lose that funding for that course. Those repeat courses are not funded. All of the stuff GSU also went through. And we have those technical credit hours that Mr. Woodall was talking about. We have those, and that is where you would be able to use the HOPE funding for that if you did choose a technical certificate that went past that 30 credit hours. As you can see, you can, if you are in 11th or 12th grade, you can take those academic courses and you only need a 2.5 minimum GPA to take those academic courses with us. And if you are taking one of those courses that is listed under the career pathways, you need to have a 2.0. If you do not meet the 2.5 minimum GPA, you can take the AccuPlacer for that, but we do not require SATs or ACTs to be with us, to be eligible to take our courses. We also have a little bit of what parents need to know. So again, and GSU explained this so well, but due to the FERPA regulations, our professors cannot discuss the grades with parents. But we do have our form, and we have actually put our form here, which is the student information release form. So if you do want to take classes and you do want your parents to be able to hear about those grades or contact a professor about the grades, you want to make sure that they filled out that form. How can the parents support their students though? Encourage them to use those professor office hours, encourage that advocacy. We really want the students to start advocating for themselves. Help create that structured space at home. GPTC is really interested in helping with that transition from high school to college. And so these are really ways that we can do that. And then make sure to help your student monitor those deadlines and the progress with their students. So check in every once in a while, ask some questions. A question that has come up a lot lately is, will my 504 or my IEP transfer over to the college? Not automatically, but we do provide services. And so we are encouraging anyone who is applying that has a 504 or an IEP to fill out this form and work with our services at the college level. So again, the services do not automatically transfer over, and they need to be student identified, which means the student needs to fill this out. And then our support services will contact you and tell you how to make sure that we get the paperwork that allows us to provide services for students. So if you are ready to apply, these are the steps that you would complete. And if you scan this QR code that's up here, we have a sheet that gives you these steps as well. So you would complete the online application. You would email us the participation agreement, which you'll also find on our application steps. You would email us your transcript, and then you would apply for the funding through Georgia Futures, which you have heard about from GSU as well. And then this is our contact information. So my name is Lauren Lamoli. Again, you can reach any of us at dualenrollment@gbtc.edu. We also have the phone number here. And Kim Sanders is actually our coordinator for Newton County. And so she works a lot one-on-one with the schools. And I also will be working with the schools to help you out.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Lamoli. All right. So now we are going to transition to our Q&A portion of the webinar. So if you have any questions specifically for any of our representatives, please use the Q&A feature to put your question. And we can have the representatives answer that question for you live. We can allow you to talk and speak directly with the representatives. But if you have received all of the information that you need, that is wonderful. Again, I will make this recording available to everyone. It will be posted on the Newton County College and Career Readiness Team website, which you will receive in email format. But also to everyone that's participating, all of our attendees, upon completion of this webinar, you will be prompted to complete a survey. That is super important to the work that we do. So I ask that you please take the maybe 5 or 6 minutes that it would take to complete it. I would be greatly appreciate that. But I think I see one question in our Q&A. It said, is there a dual enrollment program at University of Georgia? It is. There is or dual enrollment is available at the University of Georgia. But again, just as our local representatives have outlined the admission criteria as well as course offerings at their specific institutions, the University of Georgia also has specific admission criteria as well as course offerings at their institution. But you can find that course listing at gafutures.org. All right, I see we have another question. On the undergraduate admissions, under student type option, which one do I select? I think Miss Haley and Andrea spoke on this. So if you two would like to join in and answer that question, or either institution could answer the question upon the student type that a student or parent should select.
Yeah, there is a specific dual enrollment page for students to apply, or if you're on the application, you would just want to make sure you choose non-degree seeking. I can also share my screen if that would be helpful.
Sure, absolutely. Please do so.
Yeah, let me get on the website for you guys. So to get here, let me share it with you. Let's see. So are y'all able to see the dual enrollment page?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. So under dual enrollment, I put in dual enrollment GSU for y'all to go down here. And then you're just gonna hit apply now. And one thing is you do have to go ahead and create an account. That's one thing to know. So if you're applying with us for dual enrollment, I'm gonna assume you're not enrolled. And then it'll ask you dual enrollment here. And then you want to choose going to our perimeter campus associates. So that's one thing to keep in mind is you want to choose that associate pathway. So to keep the, not to get too long-winded into the application, I can definitely put the link under that question as well, just so you can refer back to it.
And Haley, I did post the link to that page in the chat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Haley. So I will go to the next question that says, I may have missed this, but do either of these schools have a site anywhere on the NCS campus? And the answer to that question is yes. The Newton College and Career Academy offers, Georgia Piedmont Technical College offers a select number of courses at the actual Career Academy. We are also in partnership with Georgia Piedmont Technical College launching an on-site program at each one of the base schools. It is a preliminary program with starting with a small cohort that we look to grow in the near future. But if your student has been selected for that cohort, they've already been in touch, they've already started the process. So I'm not sure what grade level your student is in, but yes, there are some opportunities to take classes at the actual high school, which is great. Next question is there a minimum number of classes to take? And I will let Ms. Lamoli take this one, as well as Ms. Hendricks and Ms. Wallner could also speak to the course loads at GSU.
There is no minimum to take. You can just take one class. That's totally fine. I would definitely recommend speaking to your school counselor as you're deciding which classes to take. That's going to be most helpful. And also they will help you figure out how to fit that into your high school schedule. So if you're taking one course, are you taking it online? Are you traveling to campus? They will be able to tell you about that too. The maximum courses, I know that you max out at 10 courses total for funding. There is a self-pay option if you wanted to take more than that. And then per semester, again, I would talk to your guidance counselor. I'm not sure how many courses you can take based on each school.
And that answer is the same for GSU. We do recommend sitting with your guidance counselor and they can walk you through which courses they would recommend you take. Again, as she mentioned, 10 is the maximum. That would equal the 30 credit hours, with each class usually being 3 credits. So there's not really a minimum for the number you can take. So you can switch between if you want to be in person or online. But again, you would want to meet with a counselor, and we do recommend using that as a starting point as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you both. And our next question is asking, can courses be taken year-round? Are dual enrollment courses offered year-round? So again, I will circle back to Ms. Lamoli and let both schools speak to their course offerings for dual enrollment.
Yes, we do offer courses in the summer. They are more condensed because they're over a shorter amount of time. So you really want to be prepared to buckle down and focus on a summer class. We would also recommend you take less classes in the summer. But yes, you are able to take classes in the summer.
Same is true for Georgia State as well. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And I think this next question was the second half of, is there a minimum number of classes to take? Is there a maximum number? Of course, that cap for funding, as Ms. Lamoli reiterated, I mentioned at the outset of the presentation that 10 is the max for funding, but again, there is a self-pay option. If you max out those 10 courses, absolutely, you can take additional courses if you have the resources to cover the tuition and fees. All right. Our next question is, before choosing classes, do we go to our school counselor? That question is absolutely. That should be your first stop after having the discussion with your parent, guardian. Make an appointment with your school counselor. Look at where you are looking to go college and or career-wise long-term. Figure out if dual enrollment is the best path for you. Figure out the best dual enrollment institution for you. And then have that discussion with your school counselor and your parent if possible. Thank you so much. And next question is this the same program that is happening at Newton for the students that have been selected? Yes, that is correct. Ms. Lamoli, if you want to just speak maybe just briefly on the cohort program that is currently in process.
Yeah, the cohort that was selected this year, we will be having an English 1101 and 1102 will be taught at all 3 high schools in Newton County. And in this particular cohort, they were selected by counselors and teachers. They have already applied. We are already in the process of getting them onboarded. But what is going to happen is these courses will be held there. They will be facilitated by a teacher that already works at the high school. So they will get the best of, they will get the rigor of the college course, and it will be an online course that is facilitated by the high school teacher, so that they can have the rigor of the course and also the support of a high school teacher as they are learning everything they need to learn in this English course. We are looking to expand that in the next few years by adding some more courses on top of that. So it should be, keep an eye out for that program.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and the next question is for you, Ms. Lamoli. When is the deadline to apply for Georgia Piedmont Technical College for the fall semester?
We have rolling deadline. So I would say your deadline that you brought up earlier, if you want to know by the you said April 24th, you probably want to apply to us at least 2 weeks before that to make sure that you get all your paperwork in, and then our coordinators will pretty quickly make an admissions decision.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much. And our next question is for both institutions. Can a student make a schedule to go on campus for certain days? How is scheduling handled in terms of when courses are offered and what time?
I guess I'll take that for Georgia State. So we offer courses typically on a 2-day-a-week schedule, and classes are 75 minutes each for the 3 credit hour class. So you could take those classes either on a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday. We don't really have any 5-day-a-week classes or 3-day-a-week classes. We do have some evening classes as well. And sometimes we have like a Friday only class, but that's kind of rare. It depends on the need that we have. But typically a 2-day-a-week schedule is what we offer.
We have a very similar schedule. Yeah. So you create that as you decide what courses you would like to do.
Awesome. Thank you both very much. Our next question is from Dr. Stokes, and she's asking if you, or he or she, sorry, is asking if you applied incorrectly and applied as a freshman, that information, do we need to email you to get that corrected?
I'm assuming it's at Georgia State. Yes, Haley can help with that, but I'll let her respond if she wants to.
Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. Yes, this is Haley with GSU. So the question is yes, and I'm about to type my email in there for you, Dr. Stokes. But otherwise, there is an application update form on the application status portal that a student can fill out as well if they need to have their student type updated. I usually have students email me just to help them with that process, but you can also complete that application update form as well.
All right, thank you very much. Our next question is, how are dual enrollment courses weighted on the high school transcript? So that question is for me. The courses are weighted similar to any accelerated learning opportunity like AP or IB. Dual enrollment courses are given an additional 0.5 credits. So it's been a long time since I've been working with students in terms of dual enrollment programs. So I just want to verify that. I would recommend that you verify that with your high school counselor to get specifically exactly how the courses are weighted. Will you get an additional 10 points? Sometimes certain school districts will add, 5 or 10 points to a dual enrollment course to the numeric grade. But just make sure that you also, Ms. Peters, run that question by your high school counselor. But the courses are weighted on your high school transcript, similar to the way AP as well as IB courses are weighted. All right, our next question is, I can take this one. Can I take these courses online? Yes, both of our local institutions offer online options to take classes. All right. Next question. If you are attending the Career Academy, do you have to apply for dual enrollment directly at the Career Academy, or can you apply at the base school? Well, your application for dual enrollment is to the institution, so you're applying independent of the Career Academy or your base school. But certainly, once you've chosen your dual enrollment option and figured out which one is best for you, you'll have that conversation with your counselor at your base school, and you'll also need to notify your counselor at the Career Academy as well.
Can I add to that, Mr. Woodall,
Sure,
if you don't
absolutely.
mind?
Please do that. Please do.
Yeah. Just for GSU specifically, when you're applying, please go ahead and put your base school rather than the Career Academy for NCCA, only because it will actually ask you for 2 transcripts. It'll ask you for the high school transcript and NCCA, but it is the same transcripts. If you do see that on your checklist, please feel free to reach out to us and we can help you with that. But I always recommend please do your base high school on the application, just because I don't want that dual transcript issue for you guys. But if you run into that, please reach out to me and I can help you with that as well.
All right, thank you. All right, and so I have a question from Kia in regards to scheduling an appointment with their school counselor. Have no fear, the College and Career Readiness team is also able to support you. So you will receive an email from me based on the email address that's associated with your attendance at this webinar. The email will have a link to the recording of this webinar and also my contact information. So happy to work with you and the counseling team at your respective high school, and we'll make sure that you get all the support and information you need if you're eager to participate in dual enrollment, for sure. All right, our next question is from Miss Tiffany Hill. This question is for Georgia Piedmont Technical College. She says it may have been answered because she had to step away. How can students register for classes? Do the students send an email to Georgia Piedmont Technical College, or do they use Banner Web?
actually have a form for dual enrollment. We have a form so that our coordinators can register you for the class. And I can find that form while we are still asking more questions, and I can drop it in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Our next question is that 30 credits per semester? Heavens no, 30 credits per semester would be insane. So typically, I guess I could let our representative speak to the typical course credit load for a dual enrollment student.
Well, go ahead, Haley.
I was gonna let you go, Miss Cindy.
Well, I mean, a typical full-time load for a student is 12 credit hours. We do encourage 15 credit hours if you want to be on time for degree completion. But one thing that we always say is that for every credit hour you're in class, you really should spend 2 hours at home studying. We know that's an average, so some students take more time, some students take less. And so you do need to be mindful of the fact that when you're registering for a 3 credit hour class, there is an expectation that you might have to spend 9 hours outside of the class, just keeping up with everything. Or, well, I'm sorry, 6 hours outside of the class, so a total of 9 hours for the class. And that's really because college classes are semester based, right? So what you would do in a full year in a high school course is taught in 15 weeks in a college class. And so we don't have the time to go through that all the questions and answer period that you might spend in high school. So a lot of that is on the student to do outside of class. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you. All right, so our next question is from Melissa Cannon. Does dual enrollment affect student athletes' eligibility when transferring to Division I or II school? So I guess we'll put a pin in that one for you, Ms. Cannon, and get back with you. To my understanding, courses that are taken via dual enrollment are considered part of a student's high school curriculum. They're part of their high school transcript, so it should not impact their eligibility. However, well, don't quote me on that. That's just, my understanding. But also, I do know that sometimes students who want to attend college early or maybe get to their scholarship institution a little early, they may use dual enrollment as an opportunity to maybe graduate early or finish their high school requirements early to maybe join their team for spring practice or something of that nature. So we'll circle back with you to get to your email address and answer that question for you specifically. So thank you. All right. This is for both colleges. When will you accept or deny, and how will we know?
If you want to go ahead, Miss Lamoli.
If you apply, once you submit all of your, there are 2 forms that you have to submit, the dual enrollment participation agreement form and your transcript. And once those are in, if you meet the GPA requirement, we will accept you. So as long as you get those in, as soon as they are received, our coordinators will actually upload them and accept and send you an acceptance letter. So it should be pretty quick after you get everything in. Yeah.
And for us, we're on rolling admissions, so very similar. Like we accept you based around when we receive your documentation. So typically around 3 weeks, once we receive all your documentation, that includes your application, your transcripts, and any test scores if you are requiring those. So I usually tell students work off that timeline as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So I see we are past our 7:30 time frame, but if our guests are willing to stay a few extra minutes and answer some questions, I would greatly appreciate that. I won't try to hold you too long, but I do want to try to get to these last few questions that we have, and I appreciate your willingness to stay a little bit longer. Now, I have a question. Do I have to reapply for senior year? do I have to reapply for senior year?
I can start with that one. As long as you are taking courses, so let's say you applied for your junior year and you took courses your junior year, you do not have to reapply for senior year, but you do have to fill out the Georgia Futures funding application again. So you do not have to apply to GPTC again, but you have to apply for the funding application again. If you applied as a junior and you did not take courses, you would just have to update your application to reflect the next year. So you would just contact someone at GPTC, you would contact one of us, and we would help you do that.
And that is the same at GSU. So if you're a junior taking classes all your junior year, you do not have to reapply senior year. Now, again, if you're a high school, if you're asking senior year, do you need to apply to come in as a first year? Then the answer is yes, you do need to apply with us. And at that point, you wouldn't be applying as a dual enrollment student. You would apply as a first year student. Thank you so much.
And I'll actually just touch on that for us too. You, if you take courses with us, you do not have to apply to continue with us. You are accepted with us and you will continue with us. When you apply as a dual enrollment student, you do put your graduation date. And so what happens in our system is you're just flipped over to a traditional student at that point.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, and Ms. Hill has a second question. And this is for Ms. Lamoli specifically. If a student withdraws from a course, what are the steps?
In short, contact us, contact your dual enrollment team, and we will get you the withdrawal form to fill out. It's a Maxient form, and we would just need to know that your guidance counselor has approved the drop.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Kinsey. Would you recommend applying to both institutions to guarantee acceptance? I would recommend applying to both. Personally, I would. And, that way you have both options available to you. I always think that's a great idea. But certainly after conversations with, if you visit the campus, you have a conversation with your school counselor, then I think, you can render your decision. I think it would be awesome to be able to attend both. However, I think, yes, apply to both. I would recommend it, and you'll be able to determine which option will be the best for you, for your academic needs. All right. Will the school provide transportation to the campuses for dual enrollment? Unfortunately, I can answer that. And that question currently is no. But rest assured, that is not final. That is not final. But I would I don't want to speak out of turn, but certainly that sentiment is being taken under consideration. But currently, no, transportation is not provided to the institutions, and you would need to provide your own transportation independently. All right, question again. Do student athletes in dual enrollment, how does the program affect students' athletic schedules? So the way that it would impact your schedule is would simply mean that you would need to take courses that do not conflict with your practice times or game times. So the great thing about our local institutions, they provide courses online. They have morning courses, afternoon courses. So with a wide variety of course time offerings, we're hopeful that you could get a schedule that would work for you, that would not impact your athletic schedule. Right? For both colleges, when will you start to accept or deny, and how will we know?
We're already processing applications and accepting, and we send out an email once the acceptance has happened.
And very similar at GSU, it's that same turnaround time. Once we receive your material, we go ahead and send you that decision.
All right. Thank you. And let's see. next question is, if I already submitted my application and paid $20, would I have to redo it?
I'm taking a guess that might be for me. So if that is, I sent them my email on there as well. I typed in an answer to it. So that way they can email me so I can take a look. The only time when you would need to redo it is if the application has already had a decision made. At that point, we can't update the student type. The good thing is, a lot of the information on your application will transfer over to the next application. So it's not like you're doing it from the ground up. So we try to make it as easy as possible.
Fantastic. And our final question from Mr. Jason Smith. Is there going to be a dual enrollment option available at the high school campuses? I do think we touched on this a little bit earlier in the webinar. There is currently a partnership in place with Georgia Piedmont Technical College with a very, very small cohort of students that will be launching during the next school year. If your student is not part of that cohort, I would recommend that student set up a meeting with his or her high school counselor to discuss the particulars. Maybe the student could take the course, similar course, or maybe be part of that course, but maybe not part of the cohort. So I would recommend doing that, having that conversation with your school counselor, because currently only the students that were identified as a part of that cohort are eligible to participate in that program. All right, and all of the questions, 32 of the questions have been answered. Thank you so much, Ms. Hendricks, Ms. Lamole, Haley. Thank you all for hanging in here. This was a tremendous amount of information. I think students and parents got every bit of information they need to make informed decisions. So that will conclude the webinar. I am going to stop the recording right now. I am going to stop recording.